So welcome everyone. Tonight in France, we're gonna do a special webinar on careers in international relations, specifically in the United States, and also the possibility to study preferably at the graduate level, so master's or maybe PhD programs. And we have a special guest today, Daniela. She will introduce herself a little bit later. I just wanted to make a very brief introduction and just explain what is Education USA. So my name is Céline Ouziel. I'm based at the Franco-American Fulbright Commission in Paris, but I am a member of a global network called Education USA, which is a network of advisors who help international students who would like to study in the United States, so at any level, undergraduate, graduate, for bachelor's, master, etc. And so it's a global network. So I am based in France, so I help French students or students living in France. But if you don't live in France right now, I really encourage you to go on the website of the global network. So that I'm going to write it on the chat. So that's educationusa.state.gov. And then you have a section called Find Your Advising Center. And you will be able to put the name of your country or the country where you live currently, and then you will find a list of advisors who can help you with your US application. And so I will let Daniela start the presentation, and thank you very much, Daniela.
So thank you, Céline. Merci and bonjour tout le monde. My name is Daniela Coleman. I'm the Director of Admission and Recruiting at Johns Hopkins School of Advanced International Studies. Today, I will be giving a brief presentation about how the U.S. application process works for graduate schools, particularly for those of you that may be interested in going into an international career. I have a presentation. It will last about 20 minutes or so, but this will be an interactive session. So for those of you online, now that we've activated the chat, I look forward to hearing from you, as your feedback during my participation in this presentation will be extremely vital. So hopefully you can see the presentation and the PowerPoint that I'm sharing with you. Today, I want to focus on what are your career goals, but more importantly, why study international relations? And of course, what is a U.S. graduate program in international relations? Of course, as an employee of Johns Hopkins and of SAIS, I do want to speak briefly about the university that I work for. But more importantly for you, I want to help you prepare for how you can make your application to a U.S. graduate school competitive. Okay. So I see that we have a number of different people online. And the first question I wanted to ask for all of those online today, if you had a magic wand, what would be your dream job? So I ask you, for those of you joining us today, if you can send me a quick note in the chat, if you had a magic wand, if you had the opportunity, or a genie in a lamp, what would be your dream job? I want to give all the participants online a few minutes to answer that question. If you don't answer the question, I'm going to call on you. So I definitely want those online, either in the Q&A box or in the chat. If you could tell me, if you had the opportunity to realize your dreams, what would be your dream job? Okay, fantastic. So the courageous one. So we have someone saying if they had the opportunity, their dream job would be a policy advisor for a think tank or Department of State. Okay, that's wonderful. What about the others online? If you had a opportunity to be whatever you wanted to be, what would be your dream job? Okay, so the wonderful thing about working, another person is interested potentially being a researcher. That's wonderful. So as you think about your careers, some people are interested in working in policy. So we've had people talk about public, private, nonprofit. One of the things that you have to realize is the uniqueness about working at a program or attending someone's interested particularly in maybe working as an advisor to the UN. That's fabulous. So one of the things that you have to realize is for individuals that are interested in going into a career in international careers, there is such a diversity with types of jobs that you can go into. So some people that are working, interested in going into international affairs career may be interested maybe in one day running for public office. Some of you are interested in being activists or working for nonprofits. Some of you may be interested in working in broadcasting or in journalism, or maybe working at the EU level, maybe working at a position in the European Union. Some of you may be interested in working in climate change or the environment. For some of you may be interested in working in the private sector, maybe in working in financial markets. Or for some of you, it's working at the United Nations or in development. The beauty of a career in international relations is you can really do just about anything. And I think that's what's a very unique aspect of working for international relations, pursuing a degree in international affairs. One of the unique aspects of doing a program in international relations, particularly with a US graduate program, is that American Practitioner School blend theory and practice. And so what that means is that although many of you may be taking courses in international affairs, you also will have the opportunity to be taught by practitioners. Many US graduate programs in international relations also combine foreign languages and cultural competency, as well as a focus on professional development. And so when you're thinking about careers in IR, you need to bear in mind that what type of program you're interested in. Particularly if you're applying to an interdisciplinary program, an international relations program that has a component that focuses on practitioners. And so that means that the curriculum would take an interdisciplinary approach, combining political science, history, law, economics, and business. That also means that for participants in our program, we often look at students from a variety of different backgrounds, right? So some of our students are coming to us from history backgrounds. Some of our prospective students are coming to us from law backgrounds. But the beauty of a practitioner's program is that there's a very heavy emphasis on an interdisciplinary approach, meaning all students from all different backgrounds can apply, but bearing in mind that when they come to us, they're going to be taking some core courses in international relations, but have the opportunity to take an interdisciplinary approach to courses from a wide variety of backgrounds. And so a little bit about the school that I work for. Many of you, when you think of Johns Hopkins, may think of our medical program, but we are a university that was founded in the United States in 1876. We are a program of over 27,000 full-time and part-time students. And we're also the first research university in the United States. The School of Advanced International Studies, the program that I work for, was founded in 1943 in Washington, D.C., while World War II raged on in Europe and Asia. At the time, the founding fathers of SAIS were looking to prepare men and women to deal with the responsibilities of the post-World War. And so in 1943, they assembled scholars to teach international relations, international economics, and foreign languages. About 10 years later in Europe, in Bologna, which is located in northern Italy, our Bologna Center, or the SAIS Europe campus, was founded. And in 1986, we founded a campus in Nanjing in China. So SAIS, the School of Advanced International Studies, is a graduate program of international relations that is taught in English, but that has a presence on 3 countries in 3 continents: in the United States, in Washington, D.C., in Bologna, Italy, and in Nanjing, China. For those of you that may be interested in spending some time in Bologna, the Bologna campus is made up of about 200 students from 40 different nationalities. Half of our students are American, while the other half come from all around the world. All of the students at SAIS, whether you're studying in Washington, D.C., in Bologna, Italy, or Nanjing, China, will have professors from a wide variety of backgrounds from different disciplines. Our faculty come from all over the world. The classes are focused on debate and discussion, and there is quite an interaction between faculty and students. For those of you that are interested in research, the uniqueness about being a practitioner's program is also the opportunity to do in-depth research, whether you're interested in learning about current events issues, or whether you're interested in diving in the opportunity to study countries going through democratizations. So for example, at our campus in Bologna, there are opportunities to attend evening seminars at the Bologna Institute for Policy Research. For those of you that want to do a little bit of law, we have professors that teach courses on countries that are going through democratization and conflict as part of the Center for Constitutional Studies and Democratic Development. Our faculty across all campuses are a combination of career academics. So these are individuals such as Professor Gilbert, Professor Nina Hall, and Professor Rishenko, who are experts in their field, as well as practitioners. So these are professors that work in and around maybe the United Nations in New York, or the World Trade Organization in Geneva, or work in financial markets in London. And they come and they teach on their relative areas of expertise. One of the uniqueness about a graduate program that's a practitioner's program is the very heavy emphasis on professional development. So when you're looking at a graduate program, it's really important for you to ask, do I want to do a master's in history and potentially go on into a career in academia? Or am I interested in a practitioner's program? If your answer is the latter, practitioner's program offer a very heavy emphasis on professional development. So just in line with taking academic courses, you will also have the opportunity to do one-on-one career mentoring. So a big part of a practitioner's program is the opportunity to have one-on-one career coaching, to attend alumni mentoring programs, career days, career treks. So for example, in a program like SAIS, you'll be able to take career treks to cities like the Netherlands, to Rome, to London, to Brussels, to New York, to Boston, to Texas, to San Francisco, to Beijing. These are all opportunities to help you figure out professionally what you want to do, but also to meet practitioners that work in a wide variety of different professions. In addition to career treks, all of our students are required to do professional skills workshops. So for example, if you want to learn how to beefing up your Excel courses, your 30-second elevator pitch, to learn programs such as Python, you must think very carefully, does this U.S. graduate program offer me opportunities to do professional development courses? As you think about the types of programs that you want to go to, I think it's also very important to plug into the career offices of all the different programs. In particular, ask these career offices if they survey their students to see where they are 6 months after graduation. In the case of SAIS, we survey all of our students, and the most recent class, the graduating class of 2022, I should say 2021 was the last class that we surveyed. 95% of our students are gainfully employed in the variety of sectors. So when I asked you at the very beginning where you want to work, I think it's also very important for you to realize that the world is your oyster. The opportunities for professional development and employment are quite varied. Whether you're interested in the private, public, multilateral, or nonprofit sector, it's really important for you to realize that when you look at a practitioner's program, the types of employment are quite varied. This particular slide is just a sample of the wide variety of professional opportunities that are available to our graduates. Another important aspect when looking at a graduate program is to understand the strength of the alumni network. As a graduate student, you are not only part of a very prestigious alumni network, but it's important to ask you, how international is that alumni network? In the case of SAIS, we have 22,000 alumni. We have 230,000 Johns Hopkins alumni around the world in over 79 chapters represented in over 70 countries. What do graduate programs look for when they're evaluating applications? First and foremost, I would say that when you're thinking about applying to a graduate program, it's really important for you to stay topical, read the various newspapers, and be an informed citizen. Don't only read the newspapers of your own country. As if you're listening to this presentation, it means you're bilingual, and I would encourage you to read the variety of English-speaking publications, but as if you speak more than one language, it's really important for you to monitor the issues that you care most, because that will make you a strong student of international relations. It's also very important when looking at American graduate programs, we place an emphasis on professional development. So if you're currently a student in an undergraduate institution, I would strongly encourage you to get involved on campus, whether it's volunteering for your Model UN or student government, or opportunities to get involved in the community. These are valued experiences that American graduate programs look at. If you have the opportunity to do internships in your summer or throughout your academic experience, I would highly encourage you to do that. Moreover, if there is the opportunity for you to take a gap year from the time that you graduate, from the time that you look to apply to school, these are all things that are looked at positively by admissions officials. It's also very important for you to speak to an admissions representative. Today, I'm talking about SAIS, but there are many programs in the United States that are prestigious and that recruit individuals to do programs in international relations. If you're interested in these programs, it's very important for you to go to these websites of these various programs and see about when they host information sessions. Every graduate program is slightly different, and the more information you have about applying to graduate school, the better you can strengthen your application. Also, it's very important for you to keep up with your English. Many of these programs will ask for TOEFLs and IELTS, and they will ask for recent exams within the last 2 years. So if you haven't taken a TOEFL or an IELTS, I would strongly encourage you before you apply to graduate school to sign up for these exams, as they will become part of an integral part of your application. Okay, so what do American programs ask for? The majority of the programs ask for very similar things. Although the essay questions may be different and the format of the application may be different, there is a common thread in all applications. It's really important, as I mentioned, for you to have an updated TOEFL or IELTS exam. In the case of SAIS, for example, the cutoff is 100 for the TOEFL and the 7 for the IELTS. And these are really, really important exams. If you don't have the minimum requirements, we will not even read your application. So it's really important as you think about graduate school, if you haven't had an opportunity to do an Erasmus or an opportunity to study or work abroad, those are all examples of how you can strengthen your English. In addition to the English proficiency exams, we also ask for samples of writing. In our case, we ask for 2 samples of writing. We look for a statement of purpose or a cover letter to your application, which is an overview of why you want to apply to our program. What do you think you can contribute to our program? Where do you want to be in 5 years? How do you want to change the world? These are very unique essays. They're short, about 600 words, but it's really important that you have a clear understanding of why you want to go to graduate school. Other graduate programs will also often ask for a sample of an academic writing. In our case, we ask this in the analytical essay, which can be on any issue of international significance or economic significance. It's really important when you write an analytical essay that there's a clear beginning, a middle, and end, that you cite your resources or your quotes, but that you also take an issue of international significance and make a very valid conclusion to the issue that you're arguing. We also want to see an updated CV. This really should not be more than a page. That gives us a general overview of where you've studied, the internships that you've done, the foreign languages that you speak about. It's also very important to submit transcripts. Now, we are very familiar with the education systems of France or whatever country that you study, but a big part of submitting transcripts is to also ensure that you have 2 letters of recommendation. On average, most letters are a combination of a professor and maybe a supervisor, but it's really important that when you pick a professor, you give him or her ample time to write the letter of recommendation and that you brief them very well about the program that you're applying to. In some cases, you may be required to do an interview, and if you do have the opportunity to do an interview, I would strongly encourage you to do that. The reason being is that the more we know about you, it will give us an opportunity to ask you questions that we may not be able to gather from just reading your application. But it also gives you, a potential graduate student, the opportunity to learn more about us. The deadlines for American graduate programs is very early. And I mentioned this. Now, obviously, these are our deadlines. We do historically have a November 1st deadline if you want to apply early, or a January 7th deadline if you want to apply in January. There's no difference between applying early or applying later, and you're not bound by any program. If you're admitted earlier, it doesn't mean that you have to accept us. But what I would say to you is apply for the deadline that you will be ready for. Just bear in mind that by the time you submit an application, we need the majority of your application submitted. So plan for those testing, IELTS, and if you haven't had a chance to submit them, the TOEFL scores, make sure you reach out to your faculty and give them ample time. And one thing I do want to spend time also talking about are scholarships. Now, what you're going to realize as a French student is that the majority of American programs are quite expensive compared to French programs. I would not let this intimidate you because many of our programs also have extremely generous funding schemes. There are things, though, that I want you to be prepared to think about. While all U.S. graduate programs will have funding schemes of our own, and often you have to apply for funding by ticking a box on our application, the funding schemes in most parts doesn't completely cover the cost of tuition. Now, I know maybe later we can talk about the funding schemes that Fulbright offers, but what most students do is you need to plan in advance to cover your funding. So what that means is I would definitely ask, if you are thinking about applying to a graduate program in the US, see how much money you can get from the graduate program, but also look at external sources of funding. The way that our French students cover their cost is they see how much money they can get from us. They look at also external sources of funding and opportunities for loans as well as on-campus employment. It is possible to cover your funding, but you need to plan in advance. Don't wait to get the admission letter to figure out what you're going to do. So I would strongly encourage all of you, as you think about submitting an application, also take advantage of the resources regarding funding located on our home pages. Now, why would you think about investing in a U.S. graduate program? First and foremost, an investment in yourself is an investment in your future. An investment in a program like this is one of the few investments that appreciates over time. When you think about a U.S. graduate program, think about the professional development opportunities, the opportunities to pursue rewarding careers, and of networks that you never even knew existed. It is an opportunity to become part of a lifelong network that appreciates over time. So with that, I have a quick video. It's going to last about 2 minutes. And then we look forward to seeing your questions. So get your questions ready, and I'm going to launch the video now.
At SAIS Europe, we have a global community in which we are able to study emerging international issues.
Having so many people from so many different countries, from so many different backgrounds, makes every day enriching academically, because I'm always learning, even when I'm not trying to.
I also chose SAIS Europe for the international nature of the class cohort, as well as the faculty and staff.
Here the teachers come from all over Europe.
The relationships you form with professors, it does just go beyond the classroom or go beyond networking to really sort of an informal advisor or mentor. The Bologna community is really special in that it is just this one sole building and this one vestige of Johns Hopkins in all of Italy. And for that reason, I think everybody comes just full of enthusiasm and excitement to get to meet each other.
These are friendships that take a year to develop and a lifetime to enjoy. One of the huge advantages of the SAIS experience is that we're able to show you what an international career looks like.
Because as a student, you have many ideas about what the work world is like, but actually meeting the people who are there day to day in the ground help you realize the reality of what each job is like.
So what we do at SAIS Europe is invest a lot in bringing experts into the campus to share their life experience and taking students out on career tracks to major capital cities where they can encounter people who do many different kinds of things in international affairs.
The COVID-19 pandemic has posed great challenges to all universities.
I feel like this is a very safe space where people know what's going on in terms of government mandates. People know how best to control the virus. And if anything, this has been the space that I turn to. Living in a foreign city during a global pandemic, I have this amazing community of 100, 200 people that are down the street from me at all times.
If you want a career in foreign relations or international affairs, the SAIS is the place to be.
Because when you leave SAIS with a SAIS degree, your imagination is the only limit on what you can accomplish.
Okay, now with that, I've come to the end of my presentation and I hope that we've got some interesting questions.
Okay, thank you, Daniela. So we have actually a question from Tala. And she or he wants to apply to a master's program and wants to know when is the best time to start the application, given that he or she is in the undergraduate program. And maybe I'll have another question for you after that.
Sure. So for all the U.S. graduate programs, you can apply in your last year of university. But if you're admitted into our program, you have to have your diploma in hand before you set foot in our buildings, and that's sort of standard across all U.S. graduate programs. As opposed to when is the right time to apply, I think that's really personal. For some people, they're sort of very focused and they kind of know that they want to go to graduate school. If you're in the boat of, I think I want to go get a master's, but I'm not really sure what I want to do with my career, then I would say try to get some work experience, because you don't want to apply to graduate school just to have something to do. It's a real investment. And I think when you're ready, that's something very, very personal. So at the earliest, you can apply in your last year of university, but I would say you need to apply when you're ready.
Yes, and I have a question about degree recognition or equivalences. In Europe, we have a 3-year undergraduate degree. So would you accept a student, a candidate with just a 3-year instead of the 4-year bachelor's degree?
Yes, we would accept a 3-year program, a 3-year degree. So that's the minimum requirements, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Tana has another question about scholarship, and he or he is talking about fully funded scholarship, and you just explained that it's not possible to get a full funded.
We have a few, but I would say you can apply to be considered for a full fellowship. I just want to manage expectations. What most students do is they try to see how much money they can get from us. A good competitive financial aid package is usually about half tuition. And then what students do is they try to bridge the gap with external sources of funding. So if you plan in advance, right? So if you're thinking, I think it's doable to cover the majority, but most programs don't give full fellowships. They give partial fellowships. So in the case of SAIS, we do have full fellowships, but they're only a handful. A good competitive package usually is about half tuition, and then most students bridge the gap with external sources of funding.
Okay, so in terms of external funding, I can talk about the Fulbright program since I am based in the Fulbright Commission. For those who have never heard about this program, this is a scholarship program financed by the US government, but also by a partner government in the case of France. So we have this partnership with the US government since 1948. So we're going to celebrate the 75 years of existence of this program. And but the thing is that each Fulbright candidate needs to apply in his country of citizenship. So even if you live in France, if you don't have the French citizenship, you cannot apply from France. However, if you are a non-American and you live in a specific country, please go and ask either your Education USA office, or maybe the local US embassy. They will be able to provide you information about the Fulbright program in your local country, because in each country the eligibility might be different. So for French citizens, be careful because the deadline is this week. It's Thursday, December 1st. And as Daniela said, you really need to plan in advance, and to apply to scholarship, even external scholarship, you need to apply well in advance, because a lot of deadlines are around December 1st or January 1st, even if you don't know where you are admitted. So it's very important to check when you have to apply for scholarship and not to wait for your letter of admission. It's really, really important to remember that, because in April or May, I receive a lot of emails from students who has just been admitted to US universities, and they tell me, okay, I've been admitted to this school, but they cannot provide full funding, so I'm looking for another way to finance my studies. But that's really too late, and there's nothing left in April, etc. Another question, what is the acceptance rate for Johns Hopkins for this particular program?
So I always find these questions about acceptance rates so fascinating. So there's no magic formula to get admitted to a program like ours. We have no quotas. If you think that you're ready and you're at a point in your life that you're ready to go to grad school, apply, right? Obviously, you know, if we have some minimum cutoffs, so, you know, you can't apply if you don't have at least 100 on the TOEFL or 7 on the IELTS. We take a 360 view of the application. So I think what you need to do is you need to try your best, prepare, put time and put a lot of effort into the application. And that's all you can really ask for. If we feel you're ready to be admitted, we'll admit you. Yes, it's a prestigious program. We're a top university, but we admit students that we feel are ready. And if we don't admit someone, it's not a reflection of you or your potential. It's just that at the moment of application, we just don't feel that you're ready.
Mm-hmm. There's a question about practical training. Is there opportunities to have some professional experience during the program?
Sure. So great question. So as I mentioned, when you look at graduate schools, you have to ask yourself the type of graduate program that you're interested in. If you're looking like a program like ours, we are what we call a practitioner's program. So 98% of our graduates go straight to the workforce. We're not a program we do have students that go into academia, about 2% go on to PhDs, but our program is really training you for the workforce. So in a lot of cases throughout the year, some students work on campus, work off campus. We usually encourage students during the year, For first year of a 2-year program, focus on your classes, getting involved, taking professional development courses. So those are the CV, the elevator pitch, the programming, attending networking sessions. A lot of students then will use the summertime between their first and their second year to do their internships. And by the time they are in their second year of grad school, we think they have grad school. By then, they've managed it, they've pulled a few all-nighters, they know how to write the papers. And that's when we say that's a good time to maybe do an internship during the academic year. And so we encourage students really to use the summertime and their second year to do their internship. For those of you that are doing more accelerated programs, so these are programs that are done within 1 year, normally what happens is at the end of your at the end of the classes, there's usually a period of about 6 to 8 weeks where we have a built-in internship or a capstone that you're expected to do at the end. So the shorter programs sort of have that internship. The expectation is you do the internship right after, and at the beginning of the year, you're working with the career office to get that lined up. And for the programs that are split over 2 years, we tend to push you towards the summertime to do your internships and then spend that time in your second year. You know, you won't have class every day. So normally students in their second year will do 1 or 2 days a week at their internship.
Mm-hmm. And also, if you get a F visa, which is the student visa, you have anywhere you go, not only for Johns Hopkins, you have the possibility for 2 kinds of internship opportunities. The first one is the curricular practical training. This is internship opportunity you can do at the end of the first year. So this is something you can do so as to get some credits, university credits. It will be kind of included in your program. And at the end, when you get your degree or when you finish your program, you can actually extend your stay, your student visa status for up to 12 months so as to work full-time in a US company, and you don't have to ask for a specific work visa. It's called OPT, Optional Practical Training. Okay, there is a question, how many people are applying to the Fulbright Scholarship? Okay, well, I can only talk about France because the Fulbright Scholarship is really a global scholarship. It's a partnership between the US government and about 160 governments in the world. So I'm only talking about France. If you're a French citizen and you're applying to the Fulbright Scholarship, the acceptance rate is really, really low because we only have maybe less than 10 scholarships for the whole of France and for all kinds of disciplines. So we give grants for any kind of topics, any kind of fields of study, and we can only give grants to less than 10 people, and the amount is $30,000. So does not cover the whole cost of tuition generally.
If I can also just add, I mean, the Fulbright Scholarship is incredibly prestigious, and if you get it, you're a part of this sort of unique network of Fulbright recipients. And so I think, as Celine mentioned, their deadline is early. But in addition to the Fulbright, every graduate program sometimes also lists sources of other external sources of funding, and I would encourage the students online, throw your net wide, apply as many opportunities as you can. And I've given you a link in the chat box. These are scholarships that we've done the homework for you. We've spent hours on Google researching. So this is just tip of the iceberg, but do think about it. Really, Fulbright is very prestigious. And I hope that if you get it, that's awesome. But also do look at, as many opportunities for external sources of funding as possible.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I just put the link for Fulbright France. So I remind you that if you're applying to the Franco-American Commission, you need to have the French citizenship. We have several kinds of programs. So if you're applying for a master's program or PhD, you can apply to the student program. The deadline is this Thursday. There's also a program for French assistant. It's called the FLTA. So this time you don't have the choice in terms of university placement. You first have to apply for the program. Again, the deadline is the same, December 1st. And the idea is to spend 1 year on a US campus after your licence, so as to teach French, to share the French culture, and also to take some classes, but it's a non-degree program. Any other? Yes. Yes, thank you, Daniela, for putting also the website of the APSIA Association. It's also a good resource if you want to have maybe a full, not a full, but a list of US universities and also foreign universities offering master's program in international affairs. That's really a good way to start, maybe, if you're looking for that kind of program. Just checking if there are other questions. Okay. So maybe I have a question for Daniela. Johns Hopkins has campuses in 3 countries, so US, Italy, and China, right? And is there a possibility to do part of the program in each of the country? You see what I mean?
Yes. So some of our master's programs are just specific to a certain country. So we have master's programs that are just in the US. We have master's programs that are just in Bologna and master's programs that are just in China. But then we have programs that you could start on one campus and finish at another. So for example, the largest program that we have is our Master's of Arts in International Relations. The actual graduating class every year is about 350. Some of these students do 2 years in Washington, but some of the students start in Bologna in their first year and end up in Washington, or start in China in their first year and end up in DC. So I think when you think about graduate programs, obviously it's important to figure out what are the parameters of the fellowship, because some fellowships can only be used on American soil, but other aspects are obviously what type of experience you're looking for, right? So do you want the experience in China in the US, Europe in the US? The core courses of a lot of these masters are the same, but they're just being taught from different perspectives.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, so to conclude this webinar, I would like to share a couple of resources, maybe online resources, so that it will be able to show it on the recording. So concerning French Fulbright applicants, look at our website. I'm sharing my screen if I can do that. So Fulbright with 1l.-france.org, and you click on Bourse and the scholarship for master's and PhD program at our Fulbright program for students, so étudiants. You click on étudiants. You also have a scholarship for doctoral students, meaning students that are doing PhDs in France and who would like to go there for a visiting program, and also postdoctoral program. If you want to have general information in French about studying in the US, just go on Étudier aux USA and you will have a lot of resources. If you are not based in France and you want to find your nearest advising center, just go on educationusa.state.gov and click on Find an Advising Center and check the country where your local advisor is based. And last thing, about international career, you have this website. It's an association of professional schools of international affairs, where you have a lot of resources. If you're interested in this kind of career, you have a list of graduate schools and program, and you also have a list of fellowships and scholarships for master's and PhD programs. Thank you very much, Daniela. And I hope some of the people who participated will soon apply to a program in the US, and don't hesitate to contact me or your advisor, your local advisor, if you want to get more information.
Great, thank you so much. And I just want to wish everybody online good luck. Your hard work and perseverance will pay off.
Yes. Bye-bye, everyone. And thank you.